Okay. Okay, so ls -l. So I have my Terraform manifest there. So let me use Terraform to set up my server in cloud. It will just be, let me quickly check my manifest, main.here. Main.here is right here. And this, I hope you have this main.here for creating.
Main.here.
Yeah, if you don't have it, just ask me. So here I say create. You don't have it, I'll give it to you. So here I say create only one server. So I put one there because I need only one. If I needed 2 or 3, I'll put it in Control S. All right, so now I have my manifest from my infrastructure as code using Terraform. So I'm just going to do Terraform init. Terraform init. Terraform validate. Terraform validate will look at my Terraform code and confirm that yes, your code is good. If I say Terraform plan, it's going to check the content of the code and tell me if you go ahead to execute this code is going to perform this task. It's going to show me the task that my code will perform. Hopefully I say, yeah, exactly, that's what I want, fine. Or I say, no, that's not what I want. Then I make modification. And then it tells me I'm going to create all of this. I say, yes, go ahead. So finally I say Terraform apply, and then I say minus auto approve. All right. So this is the summary of everything we learned in Terraform. So this Terraform code will go ahead. I hope you're able to set up your AWS CLI first. You already have
AWS CLI. Yeah.
Yes. You're able to do that, right?
By creating an instance on there and stuff like that.
No. Are you able to install your AWS CLI on this terminal?
Oh
AWS
no,
CLI.
I'm not sure if I've done that yet.
You're supposed to have done that in Terraform. Did you do
Oh
Terraform?
yeah, then yeah, I'm sure that I've already done that.
Yes, it's in Terraform. Where you go to AWS, you set up an account, you copy your file, and then you come here and do AWS configure. You enter your username,
Yeah,
password to that account. Yeah,
yeah, I've done
exactly.
all of that.
Okay.
And then create and like connect it to the AWS and create an instance from the terminal.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I've done all of that.
Okay. So once you do that, then this is dependent on that. So the EC2 instance has been created in AWS, and that's the password. So let me, the IP address. Let me copy the IP address because I will need it. Let me save it in Notepad. Right? So this is the IP address that I just created. All right. So now I want to SSH into the IP address. So I take this and I replace that with this IP address. Control B. All right. So Control C. That is the command to SSH. So I come back here. I load PowerShell, and then I SSH. I load PowerShell, and then I copy this command, which means SSH into that IP address using this key here. So I copy that, and I put it here. Timed out. Let me try again. Maybe the system was just what is the problem? The item is going to. Right, I don't know what the problem is, but let me look around and see what the problem is. Okay. Be working from PowerShell. Yeah, that's my PowerShell. All right, let me try one more time. SSH minus the item. Is the item here? Let me check. DIR. Yeah, the item keep here. The item keep here dot pen. Yeah, it's there. Then Ubuntu into. If that IP address is correct, then why is it not working? So I come back here one more time and I say SSH there. Connection timed out. There's a problem. Let me go and check what the problem is. I didn't get the IP address correct. Let me go to cloud and check the system. AWS. Sign into my console. Using the let me check my EC instance. There is one that is running. This is the one that I created. What is the IP address? Public IP address is this. That's what I wanted. So how come it's not coming? Let me come back here. What's IP address? Oh, I didn't copy it well. I missed one. I missed one number. That's why. Can you see?
Yeah, I see the 54.
Yeah, okay. So
Oh,
that
the
was it.
5. The 5 is supposed to go next to the 4.
Yeah. So let me correct that. I was in the control B. So now I have the correct IP address. So that teaches me to be careful. But next time I'm copying it. All right. So the only reason I came to cloud was to check that. So I'm done here. I don't think I will need it anymore. So I just all right. So now that I have the correct IP address, I'll do SSH into that, and this time it should come. All right. So now I am connected to an empty server. Now let me configure this server to become my Jenkins server. To do that, I'll just go to my note. If you want, I can give you this latest note that have been modernized since after you, and then the code that I'm using to prepare this infrastructure now, the code is right here. You can just copy it from here. All right, so I go to Jenkins. I want to install Jenkins. I'm looking through my notes. So this is the Jenkins. This is the code that I use to prepare my Jenkins infrastructure and cloud. And then this is the SSH that I just did now. And this is the command. So the next thing now is to install Java. So I'm going to copy this, Control C. So Control C. Then I go to my Jenkins server and I do Control V. So Java is installing now. After Java, the next thing I need to install is Maven. So I copy all of these commands to install Maven, Control-C, and then it's going to take a while for Java to install. I just patiently wait for Java to complete installation. And after that, I will install Maven. I'm installing Java because the codes I will be building, managing, administering, and working on are written in Java codes. Then I'm installing Maven because Maven is the tool that I need to build the Java code. Without Maven, I cannot build the codes into Artifact. All right, so once Java environment is installed where I can run codes, the next thing is to install my Maven. But before I install my Maven, let me quickly check that Java was -- version was installed. All right, you know, it's a brand new server. So it's not a matter of I installed it before. No, I just installed it. So I just created the server. All right, so that is done. All right, so I just copied all of this command and I just pasted the command there. So now this command is installing now to install Maven. All right, so Maven is installing. Let me see how it is doing. And how fast? Maven is already installed. Let me ask, Maven, are you installed? Yes, it says Maven is installed. Actually, Maven is installed. Now let me install Jenkins. The command to install Jenkins, I can get from this documentation. Look at it. Control-C, I go to that place in cloud, in the URL. Control-V. All right, and then look at the command, long-term support release for Jenkins. So I just copy the command here, then I just come here and I click. But for simplicity, I've also added the command right in the note. It's just that it may expire after 3 months or 4 months, but you know the exact place to go in case it expires. So Control-C, and then I come here and I say Control-V. Unable to locate Jenkins. There's a problem. Let me try one more time. And that is why, let me do it in Control-C, and then come back here and do Control-V. Unable to locate, it's not working. Okay, so no problem. I'm going to delete this since it's not working for me. And I'm going to say my trainees, no need to copy that command permanently in your notes. Every time you need to install Jenkins, simply go to that URL, which I showed you earlier, Control-C, go to the URL, and copy a live one, a live command. All right, so this is the live command. Let me copy it now. I highlight everything and do Control-C, and then I come here and do Control-V. This time it shouldn't tell me unable to look. And then it said me, do you want to go on? I say yes. What, yes or no? Yes. All right, so that is done. So Jenkins is installing. I cannot explain why when I copy it to my note, it does not work, but when I copy it directly from there, it works. So I'll simply refer you to where you copy it directly. All right, so Jenkins is installing now. You see that job that took you like 3 days to build, we can build it all in 30 minutes now. All right, so we have our Java installed. We have our Maven installed. Now we have our Jenkins installed. Because we have Jenkins installed, we can now conveniently call this server our Jenkins server. So now we have a Jenkins server. Let us see that Jenkins installed. How do you see? How do you test? Jenkins minus. Yes, Jenkins is installed. All right, Jenkins is installed. So let's go into the dashboard and begin to use Jenkins. What's the IP address of our Jenkins server? Look at it here. Through what port do we enter our Jenkins in order to access the dashboard? Through port 8080. So we'll copy the IP address through port 8080, and then we'll go and browse it. We come here and we'll put it there. All right, so this is the Jenkins server. The difference between this and what you were trying to do is you were trying to do all of this from your local system. But right now, we have all of this installed in a different system in cloud, independent, fast, very easy to work with. So let's go and copy our password from here. Control C, we'll go to Jenkins terminal. And we say Jenkins, they said our password is here. Please give it to us, sudo cat, then that URL. All right, so it tells me, yes, I have it. This is it. So we'll copy that password. Then we'll come back here and ask and say, yes, we've been there and we have captured the password. This is it. And then to check and say, oh, yeah, correct. That's the correct password. I'm going to let you in. It lets us in and it's configuring the default settings that Jenkins needs to be able to run your CI/CD pipeline. We study all the default plugins, G, LDAP, pipeline, timestamp, blah, blah, blah. All right, so to install them all, and then to now present Jenkins to us and say, set up your username and password. Yeah, I'll just do admin for all of them. Admin. So that way, I'm not struggling to remember like you were trying to do. I just know that anywhere it asks me for password and username, it's always admin. All right, so that is saved for me. And it's telling me it's a weak password. Never mind, it's just for practice. I don't care what I do. So don't worry about it. And then it tells me that anytime I want to contact the Jenkins server, this is the IP address, which I already know anyway, because that was exactly what I used here. Instead of using ngrok to generate an IP address that is publicly available, I will not need ngrok anymore. The IP address is already, right? It's not publicly available. All right, so I don't need to save that, I just save. All right, so Jenkins is now ready for our use. So once Jenkins is ready, the first thing we want to do once Jenkins is ready. Give me 1 second, my mouse has gone dead. So where's my... where's my mouse cable? My mouse cable. Okay. My mouse cable now. Hello?
Yes.
Give me 1 second. Let me look for my mouse cable so I can. Where is it? It's always here now. Where did I put it? There's anything you don't understand as we go through, even though I feel it's repeated, please let me know.
So far as it's this seeming like a new and easier process.
Okay. All right, so let's go on. I have my mouse. So the first thing we want to do once our Jenkins is ready for use is to configure our tool. So we go to Manage Jenkins. We go to Tool. And then we set up our Java. We say Add Java. Call it any name you like, or If you are following my note, I will normally call it my Java. And then the URL to my Java, I go back to my Jenkins. And then I'll say mvn minus version. And then I see that this is where my Java is installed. So I click that URL, Control C, and I come back and tell Jenkins, anytime you are looking for Java, that is where to find Java. All right. I go to Git and say, you know where to find Git. You and Git, you are brothers and sisters. I go to Maven and say, every time I say build my code, you are going to use my Maven to build my code. And then as for what version should you install? Install the latest version. 9.6 is the latest version of Maven. Look at it in your notes. It's changing. 9.6. Can you see? So that's the latest version. Next time could be 9.7, but right now I'm going to say save all of that. Now Jenkins has the tools that will build code for me. That's it. Jenkins is already. All the struggling we're struggling this morning, we've avoided them all. Because in any case, if we know how to do it from our notebook, the interview is not going to ask us to work from our notebook. It's going to ask us to work from cloud. All right, so let's deploy our first project. Which project do we want to deploy? Pipeline. Any project for that matter. So let's deploy a project as a pipeline so that we'll see how the CI/CD. No, maybe not pipeline, maybe just a basic project. So we'll see how the CI/CD works. So let me use pipeline, or I'll leave that to you. So let's run a project in Jenkins. So we go to dashboard, we go to project. What kind of project should you run? Freestyle or pipeline?
Yeah. I'd like to see pipeline.
Pipeline, okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's do freestyle just because that's the way it's in the notes.
Okay, so freestyle to start with, and then when you make progress with that, let's just call it project 1. Freestyle project 1. And then let's build a basic project. Freestyle, okay. All right, any of the many projects we do. So we say source code manager, build from Git. Which of the many codes here do we want to build? Let me go to my GitHub, and then let me build DevOps basis. Right? So I take DevOps basis, and then I take the URL for DevOps basis, copy, then I come back here and provide it to okay. I mean Jenkins. So I did Jenkins, go to that place, whatever code you find there, build it. It's a public repository, so you don't need any credentials to log in. And then to ask me, I'll tell it, build the code from the master branch. In any case, there's only one branch. Even if there were many, build the one from master branch. All right, and then build trigger. I'll come back to that. That's the reason we're here. I want to show you how webhook works. I'll come back to that. But for now, I'll say build the code using Maven. So I'll say top level Maven. It will ask me, what's the name of the Maven I should call? I'll say my Maven that I built earlier. What should I do with it? Package it. Package means build code. All right, that's it. And for now, basically, in future, I will come to post build and all of that. But for now, I just want to say build the code. So if I now come back here and say build, it will go to that repository. All right, let me see console output. It will go to the repository. It will access it because it's public. It doesn't need username and password. It will clone it, and then it will build it using Maven. And now it tells us the code has been successfully built. And after the code was built, where was it built to? Look at the code and look at the artifact that was built from the code. It was built into this directory. If I want, I can go into that directory, Control C. I go to Jenkins terminal. This is my Jenkins terminal. This is my local repository terminal. This is my own local laptop, but this is the Jenkins terminal on the remote server that I built in cloud. So I'm going to say CD to that place that I copied, ls-l. It will show me target, which is the directory that was built, was created by Nevin in order to store the file that it created. It's like this. CD target ls-l. It shows me the web app.war. This is the artifact that has been used, right? So it is this artifact that has been built for me now that I need to move, to go on with. This is what I move from the code. This is the finished product from the code. This is what I'm going to take, build into application and deploy into my Docker server. And this is the application that will eventually become the Uber, the Grubhub, the dating app, the application that I was hired to build and maintain. It is this file that I'm going to convert to that application. So at this stage, this file is no longer called code. It's now called artifact, waiting for further preparation to be deployed to our operation. All right, so what we want to know now is how to set up CI so that a change in code would automatically result to a change in build. A new build will be built. Let's do that. All right, so let me go to my local repository, and then let me ls-l. I have a lot of, what do I have? Let me remove DevOps. Did I remove it? Yeah, let me remove it so that I can use it to demo. Remove recursively DevOps basics. And then remove recursively DevOps basic. Remove recursively new project. ls-l. I say remove recursively DevOps ls-l. Why is it not good? The directory. Remove. Okay, I didn't put R. ls-l. What's going on? ls-l. Okay. So everything I removed, I just removed them so I can have the opportunity to do it again so that you can experience how it was done. All right, so this is my local, yeah. So this is my local system. In my local system, I do not have this repository here. This repository might be tough. I don't have it in my local system. So how do I make a copy of this repository into my local system? By cloning it. So let me go ahead and clone. To clone this repository, this DevOps basics, I will come here, I'll copy the URL, then I'll come to my working directory and I'll say git clone, then I'll put the copy. Whatever I copied there, the URL, I'll put it here. You see it's cloning now. It's cloning. So that's how to clone the remote repo into my local system. Now I should have a copy. Last time I said ls-l, it did not show the repository. But now if I do ls-l, because I have cloned it, it's now showing DevOps basic. It wasn't showing it before because it was not cloned. All right?
Right.
All right. So now let's go into DevOps basic, ls-l. All right. So these are the files that I have there. So if I do git status, it tells me there is no difference between what I have here locally and what is in the remote branch. Your branch is up to date with the remote branch. There is no difference. Everything is intact. All right. So if I do git remote -v, it tells me that I am connected to my remote repository. So I can recognize the URL. Look at it. So for the purpose of fetching code, it will fetch from my remote repository for the purpose of pushing code. It will push to my remote repository. Well, that's fine. But if that was not the case, then I should know my git command enough to be able to establish connection between this repository, the local repository, and the remote repository. So that was why we needed to first of all learn git command. It will be really, really useful in helping us manage our codes remotely. All right. So everything appears to be fine right here. So let me introduce a change to my base, to my code. ls minus. Yeah. Let me introduce a change by deleting some file. It's not every time that we introduce a new file. We can also introduce change by deleting existing files. So let me remove everything that starts with file. ls minus l. All of the names that start with files are gone. File 1, file 2, file 3. They are all gone. They are not important. They were just for experiment. Even this test file one can remove it. So if I say git status, it's going to show me that there is now difference between my local repository content and my remote repository content because of the deletion that I had. So there is difference. So let me commit this difference. I'll say git add, hold on. All right, git status. You see, before they were red, which means they were on track, but now they are green, which means that they are tracked. All right. So to move this change permanently to from my working directory to my local repository, the command is git commit -m colon in and out. Then I'll say commit 1, for example, or commit 2, or commit 1. Right? All right. So by doing this, I have now, that's a git status now. There is nothing to move anymore because I have successfully updated these changes to my local repository. The last thing to do now is to git push the changes in my local repository to the remote repository. But before I push, let me quickly go and do my webhook. What's the whole idea of webhook? The whole idea of webhook is I want to tell Git that every time I push, it should automatically build a new code. So I come to this repository, I go to settings, I go to webhooks, I go to add webhook. So I come here and I put the URL of my Jenkins server. Where's my Jenkins server? It asked me to save it the last time. I said, don't worry, I know it. So it's here, right here. Look at what it has. So I copy that part, Control C, and I put it here. Control V. All right. So when we're using Nginx, no need, because this is live. The reason we're using Nginx was because we're using our local system, which did not have a live IP. So we're looking for ways to make the IP live. But this one is a live IP in cloud. There's no better experiment than working with. That was an experiment, but this is real. All right, so we just say add webhook. And then this green button, which I was looking at for the last time. This hook has never been triggered. It comes up telling you it looks fine. Now let me use this webhook to link my GitHub to my Jenkins. So I go back to Jenkins, go to this same project. If I want, I can build a new project. I can say reconfigure this project. Last time I did not put a build trigger, but now the build should be triggered by a webhook from source code manager. Where's my source code manager? My GitHub. It means that every time GitHub receives a push and executes and accepts that push, then it will send you a message. And once it sends you a message, you use that trigger to build a new code. That's the meaning of webhook. So if we save, and right here we see that, where's my project? Project 1. We have built this project before one time. So next time we push, we expect a new build number 2, to happen automatically without anybody touching anything. So what will trigger the build then, if it's automatic, is the webhook that will trigger the build. We just set up the webhook. All right, so now let us push the code. All of the changes we made here, let's push now by doing git push origin master. So if I press enter, that means for my username, the ITern in my own case, then my password. Me, I saved my own in my notes. I'll not be looking everywhere for it. I just go to my notes and I'll say Control F token. I'll just get it. Control C, and I'll provide it right here. And then I press enter. Look, it's pushed. No problem. No. If I quickly go to, but I don't even need to go anywhere. Can you see that build number 3 is happening now?
Yeah, I see it better now.
Yes, by itself. That is the work of webhook. That's how webhook works. So with this one, I have completed my CI. Completing my CI means that every time I make a change, in fact, let us make one more change. Every time I make a change to code locally and push that change to my remote repo, a new build number 3 would automatically happen. Let's do it again. All right, let's create it. Let's add a new change. Right now, what is the status? Git status shows that there is no difference between what we have locally and what we have remotely. Let us introduce a difference. ls minus l. Let's introduce a difference by changing this file that you tried to change earlier on. No, it will not even make. Let's just introduce a difference by adding a new file, touch file 1. ls minus l, file 1 has been added. Can you see the file here?
Yeah.
So what is the status of Git now? Git status tells us that if file 1 has been added, though, this file 1 that has been added locally has not been pushed to the remote. I say, okay, no problem. So to push to remote, there are 3 steps. Git add dot git commit minus comment testing my, let me just give it a name. I'll call it testing my webhook. Or let me give it a short name, just testing 2. And then the third command that I must enter to complete the push is git push origin master. Push to the master branch of my origin. The ITern is my username and my password is Control C, Control V. And then that push happened. And then if I just go to Jenkins to wait, have you seen that build number 3 is it's happening right now? In fact, it has not started. It's just pending.
Yes.
Still waiting. Exactly. So that's how webhook, now it has started. With building number 3. Every time there is a change in code, a new build should happen. We call that continuous integration. It is after you complete continuous integration, you understand the connection, how it works. Then we'll now move from there to continuous deployment. And that is the part that takes the artifact that we built during continuous integration. We take it, we ask Docker to containerize it, and then we ask Docker to deploy it to operations. And that is where we can, for the first time, we'll be able to see that artifact as a web application. We'll be able to browse it and say, oh, this is the code that we built. Finally, we see it, right? So that is the other part of the continuous deployment. By the time we combine our continuous integration successfully with our continuous deployment in one chain, then we have our CI/CD pipeline, everything together. But right now, we just completed only one part of it, the CI part. I actually have a class that I am that I just thought everything I